Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD, and I'm back with another HD broadcast of a professional Starcraft 2 game, and this is going to be between Revolution, and the name that's being spelled out here is actually not how you pronounce his name. It is actually Vile Evolution, or Vile Illusion, excuse me, and he was one who sent in this replay to me, supposedly really good, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm having a little bit of lag right now, I'm not entirely sure why, but hopefully that works itself out in the next couple of minutes. If not, then I'll probably end up restarting this cast. But yeah, anyways, his opponent's going to be Dice, the red Zerg player down here at the bottom right, and it is going to be on Shakuras Plateau, so it's going to be a Zerg versus Terran, and I've had the pleasure of casting a couple of games of Vile Illusion before. He's very good, extremely talented. I believe I casted a game with him with Pain User, I want to say, on IPL TV. By the way, if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure to check out IPL TV. I do work very closely with IGN now. I've been pumping out a lot of cool content for them, and we do a lot of live stuff. So if you guys, maybe have forgot what I look like, you guys can see me live. We kind of do this little podcast show where we actually cast games, interact with the fans as well. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, you guys can also tune into me live through my new Twitch TV / Justin TV thing, which you guys can get updates on as to when I'm streaming through Facebook. So you guys really want to, if you get a chance, follow me on all those things, Facebook, Twitter, and all those cool things, because that'll give you guys a chance to talk with me, chill with me, hang out, and watch me play some Starcraft 2. But anyways, this is going to be a game between Vile Illusion and Dice. Dice is Illusion's friend, so whenever you cast a game with two friends playing, it's always a little bit more interesting, I would say, than watching a pro game where two players don't really know each other that much. And the reason why I say that is because when you play against a friend, whether it's amateur or pro, you really know what your friend is capable of. You played them so much that you're able to, try out some inventive strategies, new things come into play, you're more comfortable with your playstyle, and at the same time, you can try things to throw your opponent off guard that they're not used to. Just a prime example, I used to play with Dopa all the time. I've just recently started playing again. Unfortunately, he's a little bit more busy, so I haven't had that much time to play with him, but whenever I play with him, I always try out these innovative, cool strategies such as proxy hatcherying, and all that cool stuff. So maybe we'll see some awesome action this game. I haven't seen the replay yet. I've just been told by him that it's really good. So I'm, taking it off face value for him, and we'll see what happens. Illusion here is going to be going for what seems to be a Reaper to start things off, and that's a pretty good strategy. Usually you want to get a couple of Reapers out if you're Terran against Zerg. In the early game, even though they've been nerfed time and time again, the Reaper is still a very good unit. You can get in there and do crucial scouting, as well as harassing the Zerg, especially if they don't have any lings at all. You can pick off the drones very easily. Now, typically they will have a couple lings, but the Reaper can outmaneuver the lings very easily. So unless the Zerg player has a Roach Warren out, or has a Spinecrawler down, or has a Queen in each hatchery, and a lot of times the Zerg might not have those, defensive units ready to go, the Reaper can definitely get in there and do some work. It still looks like I'm lagging a little bit here, guys. I'm not entirely sure what the deal with that is, so I beg your forgiveness, guys. Hopefully we'll just roll through it. We're 5 minutes in now, and hopefully that doesn't come up to bother us in the later portions of this game. But the Reaper is just doing a little bit of poking here, has gotten 1 kill so far, hasn't really been any more aggressive than that. So Illusion here is being very careful with that Reaper. Doesn't want to lose it to any early shenanigans, like running it in there. Obviously, if you keep it alive for as long as possible, it really scares the Zerg player. It's like, oh well, I can't really move out with my Zerglings to do damage because there's Reapers all over the map. So it keeps his Zerg, keeps his Zerglings inside the base because he wants to protect against these constant Reaper harasses. Now here comes 2. Illusion's gonna come in here, and he's gonna see the Queen, but Dice gets his Zerglings just a couple in there in time, and of course with speed coming in, they are gonna be able to keep the Reapers at bay for now. On the production tab for Illusion, he does have his orbital command on the way, as well as a factory, combat shield as well, so he's getting combat shield, I believe, before stim. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Terran players do this lately. They've been getting that combat shield upgrade before the stim pack, and it's kind of a preference thing. Obviously, if you get stim, whoa, we had a very close situation there. If that barracks had gone down, the Zerglings might have been able to run in, but they wouldn't have really gotten very far at all. Now, what I was mentioning is the reason why a lot of Terran players now get combat shields before stim is simply because if you get stim first, if you think about it, you only have about 1 stim in you, maybe 2, but after 2 your life is already at, what is it, 20? Because they start off with 40, I believe, or 45, so it gets very, very low. And without that combat shield upgrade, to start things off at least, your Marines can be extremely vulnerable. Now, let's go ahead and pull up this little nameplate tag, which I don't use often enough. It really helps viewers keep track, in my opinion. Helps me keep track of the forces at play as well. Looks like we have a little bit of Ling and Reaper harass just at the middle of the map for now, but nothing too crazy. Illusion, though, is trying the little tricks here with the ledge, and he's using that feature with the Reapers pretty well. Done a little bit of damage here or there. In fact, this Reaper's gotten 8 kills already. Finally goes down, but that guy is going to be buried with full honors, doing so much damage for its cost. And Dice can finally, you know, breathe a little bit. He can control the Xel'Naga towers, which is what he's been wanting to do ever since those pesky Reapers came into the game. So yeah, he's going to have map control for now. However, Illusion is cooking up into the medvacs pretty soon here, and we may see him start to use some awesome drop tactics in the very near future. And dropping against Zerg, for Terran at least, seems to be a very profitable playstyle, especially ever since we saw MMA do that against Lucira in the MLG Grand Finals at Columbus, Ohio. Now we do have a Spire coming up for Dice. Typical play, going into Mutalisks very, very quickly. It doesn't look like he has any Baneling Nests at all. This is, oh, there we go. There's a Baneling Nest. I was gonna say that's very risky for a Zerg player to go straight into Mutalisk without Baneling Nest, but he does have the Baneling support, and he's gonna need it because Illusion is moving out here with a pretty large Marine squad. Very smart right there. Notice he went to the north and the south to pick off the Zerglings awaiting at each watchtower. This nameplate is actually getting a little annoying for me right now, so I'm just gonna turn it off for now. We'll bring it up a little bit later. But Illusion here, oh, he may opt to drop some of the Marines off on this ledge, and this is a really good thing for Terrans to do. All too often, Terrans will even drop tanks up here, which is even better, because if you think about it, the only way for a Zerg to attack is through this very narrow corridor. And if you've got tanks on the high ground, it's very difficult to deal with that. Now, it looks like Illusion is going to use the elevator drop to drop several Marines inside the main, but those Marines actually end up going down, and these guys are just wishing for a death sentence, running right into the watchful eyes of the spine crawler, and those crawlers poked those poor Marines to death. I'm not entirely sure what Illusion was thinking right there, because he just gave up a considerable amount of Marines here, and oh, Dice here also had an opportunity to maybe pick off the dropships as well. Doesn't quite pick up on that small opportunity, but he is going to try to run inside the main. Forces a stim on these Marines. That's pretty crucial. Each of these stims is pretty costly, despite Illusion already getting combat shield first, because it's going to drain the energy from these dropships just a little bit. And that can, you know, all the little things add up in StarCraft 2. I say this all the time, but it's so true. If you think about it, every single stim costs money. Every single drone lost in the beginning of the game, it's like a snowball effect. And, you know, for a pro gamer at least, it's all about incremental advantages over time that add up to your eventual victory in the game of StarCraft. Now, let's see what the players are up to here. It looks like Dice maybe preparing for a possible two-pronged attack with Lings at the front and Mutalisks on the air, and this is pretty smart. I wonder if he's going to try some kind of a distraction. No, he's just going to run the Mutalisks in. However, Illusion does have his turret up here. Very smart. Those two turrets, in fact, are going to provide doubled protection. And remember, each of these turrets, I think they fire 2 missiles apiece. Yeah. They fire 2 attacks, 12 missiles, 12 damage missiles apiece on those rockets. Pretty damaging. It looks like Dice runs in here, gets a little scope on the production facilities for the Terran, and actually forces another stim. So Illusion getting very Very drug usage on the stim. Very much a drug user on the stim. Oh no, Illusion gonna possibly lose his medvacs here and loses one of them full of tanks. That is rough. Illusion there saving what he possibly could by dropping off the Marines wherever possible, but all of those comrades going down, these Marines cannot be happy about that. In fact, they've been stranded up here on this little island, call it lost. They're not gonna have any way back and they're just gonna be chilling there for a very long time. I doubt even Illusion, being the graceful commander that he is, I doubt he's even gonna send forces over there to rescue those poor Marines. He's probably too pissed off about the fact that he lost 2 tanks and a dropship, but he is gonna try to land an orbital out here to the 3rd. So he's going to try to catch up a little bit in economy, because the Zerg player, keep in mind guys, is on 4 bases. A very strong booming economy for DICE indeed at 82 drones over 67 SCVs. We do actually have a Thor out on the field as well, and you know what? The big guns are here. Every unit is helpful, and the Thor is certainly helpful in many ways at dealing with Mutalisks as well as ground troops. DICE here getting a little frisky with the Mutalisk again, gonna be warded away, and DICE gonna run in here with a lot of Baileys. Yes, it is coming into the mineral line, but they end up getting into the minerals to mine, but the Thor is gonna get magic boxed by the Mutalisks and the Marines, several of them going down in fact, and Illusion taking a pretty heavy hit to his economy. No, not really, only losing 3 harvesters. Wow, I thought he took a lot more damage than that. Of course, a lot of that damage was his army, but I would say both players traded pretty well. Perhaps DICE coming out a little bit ahead because he was able to save most of his Mutalisks, but I don't think either player took too big of an advantage there. I thought Illusion maybe might have lost a little more SCVs than that, but he only lost 3. So yeah, not too bad at all from both these players, showing very high level of Starcraft 2. DICE here is running a little bit of a marathon here with his 2 Zerglings, seeing which Zergling is faster than the other. But of course, that is to keep the command center from going down at the 4th location. Oh! Ah, man, losing several more Mutalisks right there. Not the way you want to go. And DICE is going to have to fly on out of there. Right now we do have infestors coming up for the Zerg as well. So important to get infestors out. Look, the pathogen glands is now near complete, and you typically as a Zerg player want to get those infestors as the upgrade is halfway finishing, because that'll time them to come out at the same time as the upgrade. However, we have a lot of Lings and Baileys coming in here, gonna be able to surround the Marines very easily, and oh, a lot of mules going down, and the orbital goes down as well. And that is why as a Terran player, so much safer. I'll buy, you know, actually more riskier if you go for the orbital, but so much safer if you go for the planetary fortress, and that's why a lot of Terrans will opt to go for the planetary at the 3rd. Although at the high level we have seen a lot of Terrans getting greedy, and it can pay off. It's risk versus reward right there, and unfortunately Illusion took the bigger chunk of risk in that exchange, losing that orbital command. Devastating to his economy, especially as DICE is now on 4 bases. There is a dropship coming in here for Illusion, but it's going to be warded away by the Queen. No, the Marines are going to come out and fight here, despite DICE, you know, he already knows the dropship is there. He will probably route forces, but Illusion is pushing through the center. Very risky push with his units because there's so much creep right there, and DICE seems like he's a little confused as to what to do. He needs to divert forces to deal with the Marines and forces to deal with this ground push in the middle. But he's not doing either. An orbital or command center at least lands right here. That will be a planetary, but the 2 Zerglings will intercept that. I would imagine the planetary will get up before the Zerglings kill it, and these Marines will just make sure of that. And Illusion's still chilling here with his dropship, gonna run the Marines in, and I wonder where he's gonna go with this. He could hold the ramp right here where there's a nice choke for his units, but there's a lot of units coming in here, and DICE, oh, gets a fungal off with the infestor, and those Marines kiss their butts goodbye. And Illusion's drops so far this game have been pretty much negated. We saw one drop down to the 6 o'clock here, getting absolutely mauled by the Mutalisks, and another dropship here getting destroyed by fungal growth at the ramp, as well as intercepting forces down at the pocket expansion. I gotta say, DICE is looking very, very good this game. In fact, the mighty Broodlord is out. Some people like to call him the Mustache Lord. I'm not entirely sure why, but I guess it's because they look like mustaches. That makes sense. DICE is going to be making... Sometimes I talk to myself, guys. Kind of silly. But DICE is making a bunch of Broodlords right now. He's got 6 on the way. He's got melee attacks level 3 as well. Wow, those Zerglings going to do so much damage. Does he have Adrenal Glands? Not quite yet. That's a very big upgrade as well for Zerglings in the late game. We have a big battle possibly about to occur here. Dice running in with his artillery in the air, but these Marines trying to intercept the Broodlords, but they gotta be careful. Every time they step forward, they do not want to get struck by the fungal growth, and this is a late game composition that Zergs will utilize. Broodlords, Corruptors, Infestors, and Speedlings with adrenal glands are very, very powerful. We have a drop intercepted right here as well, so that's 3 drops intercepted, but the reason why this strategy is so powerful is because you use the Broodlords to deal damage to the Marines and the tanks, and tanks are forced to stay unsieged because they don't want to friendly fire their units. And when the Marines come out to deal with the Broodlords, that's when the Infestors hanging in the back will come in and launch that devastating fungal growth. It's a very deadly combination. And one way for a Terran to deal with that, besides getting Thors, is to get Ghosts out. And we have the Ghosts now starting to come out. And the reason why they're so effective is that sniper shot. It ranges against the Broodlords pretty easily. We have a massive fungal growth though, but then again launches EMP from the Ghosts, going down on the Infestors as well. Some Neuroparasites going down on the Thors, and we have a huge battle. But I think Illusion is no Mice Micro by Illusion, saving his Thor, microing up to the top of this ramp, and will end up going down, but not before getting a couple of shots off on these Broodlords. And Dice surprisingly has to fall back. That continued sniper fire from the Ghost so strong. And look at that, 3 armor, 3 weapons at 22 minutes into this game. And you know, the other thing that makes it go so good against the Zerg, I kid you not, they're a beefy unit, man. They got 100 HP, that's pretty good. And they do a lot of damage. Look at that, 26 versus light, 13 normal. That sniper fire does 45 damage a shot. It's not a joke unit. Surprisingly, Ghosts have been used in almost every matchup now for Terran. So yeah, we have Illusion now going into the Ghost play for the late game. And what is Dice gonna do? Because, you know, Broodlords, they don't fare too well against Ghosts. Infestors don't fare so well against Ghosts either, for obvious reasons. We have a little bit of a skirmish down to the south, but I wonder what Dice is gonna do now. I would imagine maybe Ultralisks would be a nice unit to go for now. And yeah, we have an Ultralisk Cavern down, but no Ultralisk being made quite yet. In fact, if there is something being made, it is the